Could you imagine having to build and construct your own bridges to walk across only using Earth's natural materials? Because that's what the Inca did. The Inca civilization constructed suspension bridges to link together the Inca road and was essential to the expansion and organization of the state. The bridges also played a crucial role in the social history of the region. Many of the earliest chronicles from the 16th and 17th centuries included detailed descriptions of the history and construction of the bridge network. These bridges were horizontal roadway suspended from parallel cables. Basically, these bridges were their own version of highways in the Andes Mountains. The Inca were only pre-industrial American civilization to develop suspension bridges. There are three primary characteristics to the bridges: braided cables of natural fiber, which form the floor and handrails, stone abutments that anchor the cables, and vertical ties between the main cables and handrails. The material and process of the bridge constructions include: all the bridges were made out of natural fibers, grass, and other natural materials found in this region. They make 5 ropes of the thickest kind, and to get them across the river, they swim or use rafts carrying a thin cord. They mount the cables on 2 high supports that have been cut out of living rock in a convenient place. From side to side of these hollow spaces run 5 or 6 beams placed above one another. Each of the thicker ropes is twisted around each of these beams so that the bridge will remain taut and not sag with its own weight. Not to mention, if there is ever a strong breeze at all, it sways. 3 of the great ropes are used for the floor of the bridge and the other 2 as handrails on either side. In the difficult terrain, the rivers and canyons form natural barriers which had separated different cultural zones. These suspension bridges played an important role in the initial expansion of the empire. The military uses of the bridges aided in the initial conquest of new regions, and it continued control of land previously conquered. Because of warfare, there was the cutting or burning of bridges as well. The cutting or burning of these suspension bridges took place during the Inca Civil War of the early 16th century to isolate opposing military forces. Armies would burn bridges for one of 2 purposes: to slow the pursuing army and to prevent thoughts of retreat among soldiers of the leading army. An example of a calculation of a suspension bridge is as follows. A bridge with a span of 100 feet, each of the 4 floor cables must be capable of supporting a maximum of around 1,000 pounds. But a bridge with spans of 150 feet or more with thicker cables, it could support 20,000 pounds. The amount of weight these bridges were able to support depended on how thick the ropes were and how long they were in length. It is truly fascinating that these bridges, made out of natural materials, could carry such weight across them. The suspension bridges were essential to the expansion of the Inca Empire from the 13th to 16th centuries. The deep canyons of the Andean region created natural boundaries separating different regions. The conquering Inca forces overcame these boundaries through construction of the suspension bridges. These bridges played an important strategic role in the continued control of the land and were particularly critical during warfare. Forgot to mention that during the construction of these bridges, they were also a liability, or they would be cut down as well.